y'all, my name is Liz and I am a student studying psychology, and so I just really want to make a video about something that I think is really important and also really relevant to the time of year we're at, and that's food guilt. So food guilt can be a thing all the time, but it can be especially common during the holiday season when there are more indulgent foods or more like social events surrounding food and maybe not the healthiest food. So I just sort of want to talk about what food guilt is and then give some tips on how to overcome it. So what food guilt is it's any feeling of shame or any act to restrict or deprive yourself of food, or any bad or icky feelings surrounding food that you eat or that you want to eat. And this is especially common during the holiday season for a lot of people. And so a lot of psychologists would say that a little bit of this feeling is totally normal, but that a lot of it can sort of ruin your time at the holidays or just like bother you more than it needs to. If we're living a healthy lifestyle 70, 80, 90% of the time, a few or even several indulgences is not going to derail us completely. So this feeling is just totally counterproductive and basically worthless. So my first tip is to sort of rework how you even think about food. So I feel like in like diet or like healthy living culture, we always try to like think of food as literally just nutrition. Like they're always like, think of food as fuel and this will stop you from like indulging if you don't find pleasure from it. But like psychologically, biologically biology. Okay. But psychologically, biologically, and looking at it from an evolutionary standpoint, this is just not true. Like all throughout history and all cultures, food has been used as a centerfold for social connection, as well as like food tastes good. Like there's nothing wrong with deriving some sort of pleasure from eating, and you should be actually. So this idea that it's just fuel and there's nothing else to it is completely untrue and just unrealistic. So letting yourself enjoy food is totally normal and totally natural, and you should allow yourself to. My second tip is to not put any restrictions on what you can and can't eat. So when we start to say like, oh, I'm not going to eat any cookies, I'm not going to eat any cake, you're going to put yourself in a state of deprivation, and all you're going to think about is what you told yourself you can't eat. And this can either lead to you just being like miserable or like rebounding like a rubber band and like eating like 7 pieces of pie because you like told yourself you couldn't even have one. So what's really going to be the healthiest way to look at it is to just go into events as, you know, I can eat whatever I want, everything is fine in moderation, and just like letting yourself enjoy your time, enjoy your holiday season, enjoy your night, whatever it may be, and not telling yourself what you can and can't eat. So for those people who are sort of trying to stay on track with like a healthy lifestyle during this time, my biggest advice to you is going to be to eat mindfully. So this means really paying attention to the appearance of your food, the taste, the smell, the whole experience of eating, and to really slow down and enjoy every single bite. This is going to give you sort of like a better and longer food experience, and you might feel satisfied after 1 or 2 cookies versus if you just sort of like scarf them down, you might not feel satisfied until after like 5 or 6. So mindful eating can really help us enjoy the food that we're having and indulge without it being extreme. Eat, just reminding yourself that these are totally counterproductive. All they do is steal joy. They don't add any value to our life. They can't take away the fact that you've already eaten. So they're just completely pointless. They're just completely pointless. So counteracting them with more positive self-talk, like it's the holidays, or you know, I already did it, so I'll just try to eat healthy tomorrow and I'm not going to worry about it right now. That's going to be way better for your relationship with food and your self-esteem than sort of like berating yourself over having a cookie. My next tip, and actually this is something that I would want to recommend for you to try and do in the entirety of your life, but especially during the holidays, is to not allow yourself to count calories or macros. So there's a lot of evidence that counting calories and macros is not good for our self-esteem. It's not good for our mindset. It's not linked to healthier living. If anything, it's linked to a worse view of self, a worse body image, a worse relationship with food. It's all around just not good. But especially during the holidays, trying to count calories is going to drive you nuts. Especially if you're like in situations where there's going to be a lot of like home cooked food where you don't really know all the ingredients that were used, and so it's going to be impossible to count calories. And if that's like sort of a cage you've held yourself in, it's going to drive you crazy to not be able to. So giving yourself permission ahead of time to not count calories, not count macros, at least during the holiday season or on the day of a holiday party, that's going to help your mindset a lot. My next piece of advice is going to be to get away from people that make you feel bad. So you know those like friends or family that are like, oh, 2 cookies, gonna have to hit the treadmill extra hard tomorrow. Those kinds of people are just gonna make you feel guilty for what you yourself are eating. So try to distance yourself from them. Obviously, like, I'm not saying don't speak to your like aunt for the entire holiday season, but maybe like don't sit next to her at the table at the big meal if you're worried about comments that she's gonna make affecting you. My next tip is going to be to sort of ramp up self-care, especially if you are struggling with food guilt or other negative feelings during the holiday season. It's going to be really important in times of stress to bring your self-care up to match. And I kind of want to do a whole series in the future of evidence-based self-care, because there is a lot of like things that people think are self-care, like doing face masks that don't really have any like scientific validity of being able to help. Not that there's anything wrong with doing it or that you shouldn't, but it's not necessarily like going to really deeply help. So, but whatever your self-care looks like, sort of ramping it up to match your level of stress or, you know, your level of struggle is going to be a real necessity to staying sane. If you do talk to a therapist, if you do see a therapist, I would mention if you're having any feelings of food guilt to them. Let them know that you're feeling kind of weird. Even if you don't really talk to them about like body image or food ever, they're still going to be able to help give you advice. If you're not seeing a therapist and you are having feelings of food guilt, I would say talk to a friend or family member about it, one that you can trust, one that you don't think is going to like play into it, but they might be able to offer support. For all you know, they're feeling the same way and you guys can be good support for each other. Going back to that idea that if you're eating healthy like the majority of the time, let's say like 80% of the time, a few cheat meals isn't going to derail it, continue living a healthy lifestyle the rest of the time. So like if you're going to a party tonight and there's going to be a lot of junk food, you know, eat a healthy breakfast, eat a healthy lunch, eat healthy snacks during the day. Maybe go to the gym if you have time or however you work out. Continue living your healthy lifestyle the rest of the time. That's really going to counteract a few unhealthy meals. It doesn't have to be for any weight or aesthetic reason. It's just going to help you feel better and more positive emotions. Going a little bit further off of that, there's new science coming out to show that actually what we aren't eating may be more detrimental to our health than what we are. So this means that eating potato chips may be less bad for us than like not eating spinach. So if you're going to be eating like a lot of junk food, don't go into it with the mindset like, oh, I'm going to have like a super cheat meal tonight, so I should restrict during the rest of the day to not eat as many calories overall. You should still be making sure during the day, if you're going to be eating junk food, that you're getting in your vegetables, getting in your fruits, getting in your whole grains, getting in your protein, and that's going to be better for your health. So my next tip is to just allow yourself to eat until you're done eating. There are definitely times in the rest of our life when we do need to put the brakes on. We can't just always eat however much we want all the time. That wouldn't be healthy. But a few times a month, once a week, a few times a week during the holidays, whatever it may be, it's totally okay to just like eat till you're done eating. Like, don't be like, okay, I can only have 1 plate of food at Thanksgiving. Like, if you want seconds, go for it. Like, who cares? This is a once a year, twice a year thing. My second to last tip is to commit to yourself that you are not going to be the type of person that comments on how other people look, what other people are eating. You're not going to play into any conversations about that. 1, it's just unkind, and 2, it's going to put you in a negative headspace yourself. And if like you're talking about somebody else eating 3 cookies, like you're probably going to be nervous to eat even 1 because what are people going to say about you or whatever. So on top of that, like I mentioned, it's just not nice. Everybody has the right to do what they want with their own bodies. Okay, so if the lighting changed, it's because we actually took a break to eat some cinnamon rolls, so it's a little bit later on now. Not feeling any guilt about it either. But anyways, so just know that indulging during the holidays is completely normal. Like, every single person is going to be eating a little bit differently during this time of year than they are during the rest of the year. But it's also completely normal to feel a little bit uncomfortable or strange or guilty about it. So just know that all of this is a universal experience, all of this is a universal emotion, which is why it's totally okay to talk about it. But if you do feel like your feelings are getting a little bit past what maybe is normal for everybody else, if you feel like it's really sort of restricting your daily abilities, getting in the way of you ever having a good time, or really hurting your mental health, your self-esteem, that's going to be when it's time to reach out and find somebody professional to talk to about these kinds of emotions. Other than that, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Also, if you feel like you have any more tips about what somebody could do if they're feeling this way, any more like helpful suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. I'd love to like have a conversation. Until next time, bye y'all.